The AFC South. Is it going to be the most painful division to watch or one of the more intriguing ones to watch? We're going to talk about it today. Training camp has kicked off, football is back, and we want to just dive into a few storylines, predictions, things to look into going into this next season. Because now all the questions that we've been asking with the draft and different coaching changes, players, free agency, they're going to start to get answered as rosters start to fill and we get to week one. So we're going to start with the Colts because I love this team on paper. AR, baby. Anthony Richardson getting selected at like pick number 6 or something like that. Going to come in and battle with Gardner Minshew to see who's going to be the starter for week one. And this is one of the most intriguing storylines because it isn't very often that quarterbacks who are rookies come in and are successful right away. You look at Josh Allen's first couple of years, even Patrick Mahomes' his first year. There was tons of stories of him struggling, not understanding how to read NFL defenses. It wasn't until years 2, 3 where they start to really get into their own, get comfortable with the speed, the plays, everything that the NFL has to, throw your way as a professional now. I've been reading a lot of stories, and Anthony Richardson has done nothing but impress. He's been in the playbook. He has been working out meticulously. He has been gaining chemistry with his teammates. Apparently, him and Josh Downs are best buds, who's the receiver from North Carolina that, was it North Carolina? I can't remember. But he was one of the other receivers that they took in the draft, and they've been establishing chemistry already. There's so many pieces around him for him to be successful. The head coach comes over from Philadelphia, who did a great job with Jalen Hurts and using his mobility and his passing to get the most out of that offense. You have Michael Pittman. You have Alec Pierce going into his second year and could really take that next jump. And then, of course, you got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield who, thinking about that read option and how people and on the defensive side of the ball are going to be having to worry so much about the quarterback who can run 4.4 or the running back who can run 4.4 or the 2 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers on the edge. It's going to be a problem for the teams in this division and the teams in the AFC overall. Offensive line, I know they could definitely continue to do some work, but they're not in a terrible position. So that's really the big headline that I'm looking at as training camp begins. How does he look? How does he, weather against Gardner Minshew, who, he's been in this league for, a good while for a reason. He's a dog. He wants to be out there. He wants to play. And I think that competitiveness is going to do a lot for both of them. Apparently, they work out together in the offseason, before he even got drafted to the Colts. So I don't think there's any bad blood there, but it's going to be a good battle to watch. And I just want to see what this new head coach brings to the team overall. Sometimes rookie head coaches do great, and sometimes they fall on their face. So those are the two things that are really going to stick out to me as the Colts kick off going into August. But the team that everyone is just hopping on the bandwagon, coming off of a really, really hot end of 2022, the Jags. You bring in Doug Peterson, who replaces the dumpster fire that was Urban Meyer. And he takes his team to the playoffs. Not only takes them there, they beat the Chargers in one of the biggest comebacks in playoff history, something along those lines. So for them to get to the divisional game against the Chiefs and only lose by one score, there's a lot of potential for this Jags team who is young. They are hungry. They have not been good in the last 10-ish years. I think 2015 is whenever they had that run with Blake Bortles. So they have a lot to prove still. I think the big thing that you want to look at for them going into this next season is, was this past season a fluke, or is Trevor Lawrence really going to continue to take those next steps? Made a huge jump last year. Going into year 3, finally under the same offensive scheme with Doug Peterson, who is known to get the most out of his quarterbacks. Calvin Ridley comes back. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk were awesome last year. They signed Evan Ingram, and they have Travis Etienne, and they go get Tank Bigsby from Auburn. All those weapons for Trevor to use and to just, again, have at his disposal. I really, really believe it's their division to lose. But now the target's on their back. So how are they going to handle this pressure going into the season rather than being the underdogs, the whole year pretty much? And I just want to see how Doug Peterson continues to help develop these players, because he did so well in year one. If he can replicate that, even half of what he did, they're going to get into that double-digit wins and really challenge the whole division to just step out of the way. Granted, any of these teams could either go from first to worst or first to worst. I think it's all out there right now, which makes it so intriguing why I want to watch so bad. I think the Tennessee Titans are not going to be good. And again, it's like the same thing I said on paper for the Colts. On paper, the Titans, I just don't think are that good. I just don't see the Titans and think of anything else but Derrick Henry. Yes, they just signed DeAndre Hopkins. I get that. You know who else that they signed in the past? Julio Jones. His career went there to die. Randy Moss. His career went there to die. Robert Woods. His career went there to die. Is Treylon Burks going to take that next step going into year two? Which is kind of where I wanted to start. Like, is this wide receiving room going to lean on DeAndre Hopkins? Is anyone else going to step up? Kyle Phillips coming in his second year, who could be a great slot receiver. Their tight end, Okunga, I can never remember his name. He had a Okonkwo. Yeah. Oh, man, I butchered that. He had a great season last year as well. But then, of course, it's what's happening at QB. This is the second year in a row they draft a quarterback to possibly replace Ryan Tannehill, who I didn't think was that bad. Like, people are acting like Ryan Tannehill just all of a sudden went completely into the ground. Granted, maybe it wasn't a Patrick Mahomes type year. Why is this taking so long? Okay, that's annoying. But it's just, it asks the question, is he going to be the starter from day one to the end of the season? 2,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He did miss some games. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt because of that. Apparently, some of the rumblings in camp right now are that Malik Willis is outperforming Will Levis. That's not good. That's really not good. Malik Willis couldn't outperform Joshua Dobbs towards the end of the season there whenever they were trying to get into the playoffs. But the point is, this team, I just think, has so many question marks all over the place. The only real binding that might bring him to the surface is Mike Vrabel, who is just a no-nonsense coach who is not going to take excuses, and he's going to put the players in there that are going to give him the best chance to win. So I think he's going to be their saving grace more than DeAndre Hopkins or Derrick Henry or anybody else. But again, I think there's just too many questions on this Tennessee Titans team for them to really make a run when you have teams like Indianapolis and Jacksonville. Houston. I mean, as a Jets fan, I feel the hard decade that you have been through. Decade plus. I mean, Deshaun Watson, when he was there, it was fun. It was great. But now I only think about when that lead got blown against the Chiefs in the it was either the divisional game or the AFC Championship game. That was tough, and now that's all I think about on top of the whole Deshaun Watson stuff that went down. I do like this season for you guys to really have kind of like oh man, what team was it? Not last year, but the year prior. Well, I feel like last year, uh, the Falcons had a lot of really close games, and now they have a lot of hope and things to look forward to and high expectations going into this year. I think y'all might be the Falcons of 2023. Gonna be in a lot of close games, gonna win some games that people don't expect y'all to. D'Amico Ryans, I just have a feeling is gonna be a bona fide stud of a head coach. He's going to bring this physicality and this identity to the defense. And then on the offensive side, the trenches are going to be what's the most important. Running the ball, Devin Singletary, you bring in. Damian Pierce was having a great year before he gets injured. Of course, CJ Stroud is now the man leading the ship. Does he start week 1? I would probably say like a 90% chance he does, unless something just drastic happens and they start him week 2 after Davis Mills, falls on his face or something. Tank Dell, you go draft. You bring in Robert Woods from Tennessee. The receivers aren't great, but I think there's a lot of potential for Nico Collins and for Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State, who y'all also drafted. So don't be surprised that the storyline going in for this team is maybe they are better than a lot of people think they are. Solid offensive line, some playmakers on defense in the secondary with Petrie and Stingley, I'm sorry. So there are some players here that can really push the threshold for what they are capable of. They just need someone to lead on the field and off the field. And I love CJ Stroud and I love D'Amico Ryans. So that's our video today. All the teams for the AFC South. Go check out the other divisions and we will catch y'all in the next one.